This is the Grapple of Your Eye Show, episode 47, Crusher Curtis. Welcome to the Grapple of Your Eye Show. I'm your host, Brett Summers, and my special guest today is the wrestling champion and promoter, Crusher Curtis. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Special as in special, or special as in special? Because it's the first one, I can assure you.
You can be both.
How you doing, brother? You good?
Yeah, all is good, sir. And again, thank you for taking time out. I know you're a very busy man, and time is precious these days, so it is very much appreciated.
You take your time. I've always got time for a fellow haircut person as yourself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll get the Wanderers one day.
Ooh, you love it. You love that. Not a lot of people are going to get that reference. I did.
Well, that's who it's for. It's for the people that do. If you know, you know. If you don't, Google it. Right. Every time someone comes on here for the first time, we always ask them the same question. Where did it begin for you, sir?
I was watching wrestling when I was a kid, the golden era. Me and my dad, we'd wake up every Saturday, Sunday, I think it was. It was on before or after Power Rangers, watching Raw and stuff like that. Yeah, like this is going back. Whoa. I used to have, was it WrestleMania 6 with the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan on VHS? Battle Royal at the Royal Albert Hall on VHS. All of that. Like, I used to love watching wrestling. And then my dad used to take me to a couple of the old All-Star shows in Bracknell, I want to say, Bracknell or Camberley. This was proper back in the day, but yeah, I used to love it. And then obviously getting into wrestling was a different story.
Who were your favourites back then? Who were you watching on WWE then, or WWF as it was then, or All Star? Who stood up for you?
Back then, it was always the Ultimate Warrior, the Bushwhackers, obviously Hulk Hogan, older guys like Ric Flair, Greg the Hammer Valentine, all of those good old solid workers, less is more guys. And then obviously, when I started watching WCW and some old school Japanese, it was Big Van Vader all the way. Big Vader Mark, as people know. I'm not afraid to say it. I love the guy.
I'm a big fan of the man, and I mean, I know everyone's raving at the moment because what's her name now? Sasha Mercedes Monet Banks, whatever she is now. It's got like 15 different belts that don't mean a thing. But Vader in the day had all the major world titles of the major organisation in every continent, and was just regularly travelling defending them.
He looked like Mr. T with his necklaces. Like he was the original OG monster. He couldn't go anywhere without picking up a belt. He was great. He was stiffing people left, right, and centre, and everyone was terrified of him, which is how bad guys in wrestling should be.
No, I remember as well. I remember reading somewhere that UFC, when he was in WCW, I think UFC reached out because they wanted him for it's one of the earlier ones between 1 and 5, I think it was, to get him. And WCW didn't want him to go on there because of, if he did lose, he was their champion, it would look bad or whatever, because it was still in that mindset in those days. And they offered Hoku or Meng, and UFC declined. So the world could have been a different place.
back in the day when it wasn't MMA, it was literally just a pub car park fight.
Yeah,
Haku, Vader, Stan Hansen, those guys would have cleaned house. Obviously, you've got the jiu-jitsu guys, which would have tied them up. But if you put them in the old school days against the older the older school guys, which just swinging for the fences, having a good punch up, yeah, Haku, Vader, Stan Hansen, all of them guys, they would have had a good
I
punch
was
up.
always a Doctor Death guy as well. Doctor
Yeah,
Death Steve Williams. He was
Doctor
one of my
Death,
favourites.
Bruiser Brody, he was Bruiser
Yeah,
Brody. He was amazing. Yeah, all of them
but
guys.
they're all good. So back to you then. You're watching this. You're going to a few shows. What happened then?
I used to watch a lot of it when I was growing up, and then me and my mate Steve Oates, we used to go and watch wrestling, all the WrestleManias around his house, and this was back in the early 2000s. And then I stopped watching it because I couldn't watch Fandango. He just really annoyed me. And then I remember, and again, like I've done this before. I was doing judo on my first dan in judo, and I got back into doing judo. And a guy that was on the judo mat said, like, you should give wrestling a go. You're a wrestler, and his name is James Kenner, otherwise known as the Mighty Oak, or one of the worst wrestlers on the planet. But he's a bloody lovely guy. And yeah, he said, come down to RPW on these days, and I was like, yeah, no worries. I'll give it a shot. And then as soon as I walked through the door, took my first bump, made chums with Andy Simmons and Andy Quild, and it was the writing was on the wall. Then I was training two, three, four times a week, and it was just proper old school training. Like it was listening to the coach. It wasn't like making my own mind up or having t-shirts made before I was 3 months into training. It was
Yeah.
proper old school training as it should be. And yeah, that's how I got started.
How was that for you then? For someone who's come in from a judo background, like you say, you're first down at judo, and
Yeah.
obviously, you learned the ukemis, how to fall, etc. in judo, and the different holds and throws. So you're going in with, I guess, a kind of a bit of knowledge that you can
Yeah,
apply here and there
I'm
and
going
stuff.
in with
But
a shoot background. Like for me,
background, yeah. So you're
I
going in. How was the training different though? What was different? What shocked you? What surprised you?
you know what? For me, it shocked me in terms of letting people get so close to my face. Like this was in, I don't know, I was 30 something. So I got in it quite late. And obviously because I've been doing the doors as well for many, many, many years and then fighting and doing loads of martial arts, for me, it was very strange for me letting people get that close and obviously let them kind of stay in that close. Because if you get anywhere near in arm's length to me, like you're going to be on the floor making all kinds of noises. But yeah, like I struggled with the lockups for sure because like we're face to face, and I'm like, this is so unnatural for me. I don't like being, I don't like being this close to people for that long. But it maybe took me a couple of lessons to get used to that. But yeah, for me coming from my background into wrestling, it was good in terms of I already knew how to fall. I already knew how to keep safe. I'm a big guy. I'm a strong guy. I'm already a little bit of a way because of the door. It was it was just polishing it out. It was just basic craft.
As
It
you
was
then
just it
into
was just learning the basic craft, and then obviously the bumps because I already did a lot of grappling and a lot of judo.
mm.
It's almost impossible for me to hurt myself taking a bump, almost like Mick Foley doing crazy bumps. I'd always do a crazy bump. And yeah, I loved it. It was great.
What other things did you do? Because you said about the judo. What other sort of martial arts or like
Oh,
grappling sport or
crikey.
whatever have you done?
I've done absolutely every martial art you can think of because when I was maybe 14 or 15, I decided that I want to be a bouncer and that I want to be the best
Hmm.
fighter being a bouncer. So I've done, oh my God, everything. It would the list would be too long. I would like Taekwondo, for instance. I did Taekwondo for about 3 or 4 months when I went to Australia. and I decided that it had no real street application, so I binned it off. I did I did capoeira for about 3 or 4 sessions, and again, no real street application, so I binned that off. I concentrated on Muay Thai, Thai boxing, judo, jiu-jitsu. I did Aikido, but that's again no real. But yeah, it's basic grappling, striking. I did do some MMA training in Frimley with uh, a guy that not a lot of people know called Alex Reed, who's a really nice guy. And yeah, I was too old and too heavy because back then the weight limit was about 240, and I'm a 280 guy all day long. I'd have to have lost 20, 25 kilos. Yeah, but I've done every martial art you can think of. I've done it, but I didn't do martial arts for martial arts. I did martial arts for basic fight craft, and for me,
By the way, the
obviously,
martial of the arts, which I
yeah,
think people forget that nowadays, that it is actually a
yeah.
contact fighting thing
I've
as well. I
I've
think
got
people get too caught up into it all.
I've got no problem. Like a guy that I work with is a first dan in Taekwondo, and like if you want to do it as a martial art, it looks nice, it looks pretty, it's good for fitness, good for
Mm.
discipline and all that. But again, I've been asked this a lot of times, and I can honestly say, if you want to learn how to handle yourself on the pavement, it's judo, it's jujitsu, it's freestyle wrestling, Greco wrestling, and it's kickboxing, Muay Thai, or boxing. If I was to narrow it down to two, it would be judo, boxing, or Muay Thai. Probably judo and Muay Thai. If you were razor sharp at those two, you'd do okay.
Yeah, fair enough. So you've got all these skills. You are now in a wrestling training environment. As you say, you've brought in your knowledge of sort of how to take a bump and all that sort of thing. Who's doing the training and what are you learning? How does that progress?
It was Andy Simmons and Andy Quilden initially. Then
Hmm.
obviously one of the more senior guys would take the training, but it was proper old school right training at Rev Pro Wrestling, Revolution Pro
Yeah.
Wrestling. Let's give them a shout because they deserve it. Andy Simmons and Andy Quilden, and yeah, like it was bread and butter. I don't know how they train it now. I have people saying, "Oh, schools have no idea how to train it," but you go in, you warm up, you do your bumps, then you do your lockups, and then you learn. Like it doesn't matter what you are learning, just to learn. You can go there and you're bait like if you're a bigger guy, you're doing head scissor basing or you're catching a dive. If you're a littler guy, you're doing the head scissors, you're doing the dive. Andy Simmons used to say, "Oh, I watched this WrestleMania spot with the Honky Tonk Man. This is what we're gonna do," and we learn spots that we've seen on shows that we watch on wrestling. It's just you can't go wrong with learning, learning, learning. It doesn't matter what you're
Mm.
learning, just keep learning, but you must get the basics. You need to start off with your bumps, then you need to start off with your lockups, then you need to do a little bit of chain wrestling, and then it's right. Now we're going to learn this. And I believe a lot of training schools just have maybe lost their way a little bit and maybe go back to basics because a lot of guys, when they first start training, they're like, "Oh, I'm not learning at this school because they're doing this." And I'm like, well, yeah, just keep going. Like, as long as you keep going, eventually the pins will drop. And yeah, that's what it did for me. Like, I was a very quick learner, but it was a big transition for me to go from real fighting to wrestling. And I struggled with that. But again, it's just through repetition and going to shows and listening to your trainer. Andy Simmons and Andy Quilden were paramount in the Crusher Curtis. Like I got someone to design my singlet. I showed them. They said, "Brilliant. We want it to be a one strap because you're a big guy, and we're going to bring that back." Even the Crusher Curtis nickname, Andy Simmons said, "Right, what nicknames have you had throughout your life?" And my mate John Pook used to call me Crusher on the door because I got into a few fights and like a few people came off wrong, and he used to call me Crusher because it used to irritate me. He'd go, "All right, Crusher, put him down," and I'm like, "Ah, shut up." And then obviously when I said, I had a mate that used to call me Crusher, and I think it was Andy Simmons or Quild, and they went, "Oh, Crusher Curtis, that's you," and I'm like, really? Like you're gonna go with that? But then obviously it's transitioned from that to wrestling, and I don't mind it now. But yeah, it's just it was paramount for me to listen to experienced, knowledgeable trainers, and I've only got them to thank, as well as the vast experience that I've picked up on the way. It's just, yeah, again, not too many trainees listen. Like they walk in and go, "I'm going to be Goldberg." That's it. And like, yeah, you're not Goldberg. You're 5 stone.
Or I mean, I remember when did I leave it? 2008. I got out, and at that point, it was more about like I want to learn how to do a moonsault, or I want to learn how to do a triple super duper thingy, and
I
we
was
go through the
still,
tables.
yeah, I was still wrestling. Like I was wrestling training for a solid, maybe I don't know, however many years, like 5 years or whatever. Still 2, 3, or 4 days a week, and then you're traveling around doing it constantly, wrestling, and you get to a stage where it's like I'm not ignorant to say that I don't need to train. Like I'm picking more up from doing shows
Yeah,
than doing training. And then obviously I'd go train here and there, and I'd be like, I'm not really like I don't want to be that guy. I'm not learning anything from these kind of classes anymore. I'm learning as I do. But one of the nail in the coffin for me with training was like I was doing training, and then you get trainees that hadn't even been on a show yet, and they've already got t-shirts designed, 8x10s designed, posters designed, and it's like you what are you doing? What are you doing? How have you not been got a grip of? Like you need to learn what you're doing before you even think about merch. Like a lot of,
yeah,
and again, a lot of trainees and slash trainees wrestlers, and again, I'll use my mate James Kenner, who is my mate and a beautiful human being, one of the nicest guys on the planet. And again, he's an Olympian judoka. Like, if he got the hump with people in the dressing room, he would go through the dressing room. I don't care who's in there. But he is a prime example of he is a biggish lump. He's like 6'2", 6'3". And we were all telling him, dude, you need to be a heel. You would get so much work as a heel. And he was like, well, no, I want to sell merch. And it's like, you've only been wrestling a year or two. Why do you want to earn a couple of extra quid and not get experience and not get extra bookings when you should be a
yeah,
heel? But it's just people just don't listen to experienced guys, and that for me is a big thing with wrestling nowadays.
definitely. So how long then? She said you trained for how long before that first match came along, and
Oh
where was
god,
it? Can you remember it all?
I did a run in at first, or did I do a match? I'm not too sure which one I did first, but I did a run in at the Buckland Community Centre for Rev Pro, and I absolutely annihilated a guy called Adam. Adam Perks, I think his name was. He doesn't wrestle anymore because I injured him. And I'm sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I did a run in and absolutely smashed him, and I was really nervous, and I went a little bit over the top because, I'm new and I'm fighting him.
All the adrenaline's going in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I remember before I went through the curtain, Rishi Ghosh, absolute legend of a man, he was stood there and he was like, "You got this, champ. Just breathe, calm down." Like I don't get nervous. I've never been nervous, but walking through the curtain at the beginning, I was like, and then yeah, that was good. And then my first match was for All Star Wrestling at Bognor with I was on a tag again with my good buddy James Kenner, lovely guy, and I was against Danny Driscoll and Justin Starr, and we were in the main event. And James Kenner had more experience than me, and they were just saying like, what do you do? What do you two do? And James was like, "Oh, I've been wrestling this song," and I said, "Oh, I have no idea. Like I've not been wrestling for any time." And they said, "Okay, well, can you do this? Can you do?" And James Kenner was going, "Yeah, no, don't know what you're talking about." And then when they were talking to me, I was going, "Yep, yep, yep, I can do that. I can do that." And then I ended up doing 3/4 of it. James Kenner did like a good quarter of it, but he still showed out. And then Hey, look, I mean, obviously, if you're in the ring with Justin Starr and Danny Driscoll, who've been wrestling for, I wouldn't like to put a timeline on it. They could wrestle an aubergine, and it'd be a really good match. So yeah, they really looked after me, especially, but obviously the both of us. And yeah, that was it. From there, it was just let's go. I'm on this.
Excellent. So where does that go to next? And so you're already, you trained at Rev Pro. You're already working for All Star. I mean, for some people,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the top of the ladder in this country.
yeah.
You've
I
got there
I
already.
was I was just getting started. I mean, for me, a big thing was obviously checking with my trainers, especially Andy Simmons. Like I would always run things through Andy Simmons
Mm.
because he's worked for the WWE, he's worked loads of places. And this is one thing as well. If you're going to go to a training school, make sure you're training with someone that knows what they're doing, not someone that's done 50 matches and opened a training school. Anyway, didn't even get me started. Yeah, no, I'd always run things past him. Listen, this guy wants me to do a show. Yeah, brilliant. This guy wants me to do a show. Yeah, cool. Or he would get in contact with me. Listen, someone's got in contact with me asking for a guy. You're the man. And yeah, I did. It was initially Rev Pro stuff to start off with, along with All Star. I did a couple of bits for All Star every now and then it was Fight Nation, EW. Did a couple of bits for Wrestle Force. It was here, there, and everywhere. Premier Promotions for good old Fremantle, who pays like in coins, bless his cotton socks. And I went to Germany quite early on. That was a nudge for Andy Simmons and Johnny Storm. And then my experience of my wrestling really took off when oddly Sanjay Bagga got in contact with me for LDN wrestling. I really wanted to do a couple of runs with All Star because anyone has done the summer shows with All Star. And I remember talking to the guy who books it. Listen, I'm begging you, put me on these runs. Oh yeah, yeah. And he'd use me sporadically here and there when he was short, last minute call up, and I'm like, oh God. And then Sanjay Bagga, I checked my messages and I checked in my inbox, and I had a message from him 24 hours beforehand saying, "Oh, we know the same person, Terry Vallo, who I went to school with. He's a fan and he does martial arts. He knows Sanjay Bagga." I said to him, "Look, listen, I apologise. I don't check this often. This was on a Friday, and he wanted me for the Friday night." And I said, "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I've only just checked it." He went, "Yeah, no worries. Do you want to work Saturday?" And this was on Friday, and I was like, yeah, okay. Where is it?" And it was for the Isle of Wight, and he said, "I've seen your promo pics. I'll put you on in the main event against Alan Lee Travis." And Alan Lee Travis is a good guy, despite what anyone says. He's a really good wrestler, really good guy, good pal of mine as well. And yeah, went over there. We did a ladder match for the main event. Did the main event. Obviously, didn't stink the place up. Knew what I was doing. And Sanjay turned around to me on the trip home and said, "Listen, this is the next 3 months worth of my shows. Pick what you want to do." And being fresh, I was like, "Well, I'll do all of them." And then that was it. I literally had carte blanche with LDN because I was a big scary hill that knew what I was doing. And I probably had strength. I probably had a couple of hundred matches within 6 months. Like it was pretty hardcore, the learning curve. You're doing what, like at one stage I was doing maybe 5, 6 shows a week, twice a day, doing the double every show, then maybe a rumble at the end. Not that
Mm.
I minded because it was just one big steep learning curve, and with every match you learn something else. And yeah, you just look, go, 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 go. And LDN really did give me a big push. They gave me carte blanche. He booked me to go to America, a couple of other places. Like I've been the world champion for them a couple of times. I've taken on a lot of good guys like Jigsaw, Sabu, Joey, Legend, like every person that they've had over, I've obviously been on with them. MJF, who's doing really well. I went on with him a couple of times. He's amazing. He's a legend at the wrestling card game. Like, have you ever played the wrestling name game? MJF is unbeatable at that. It's where you say, where you're driving and you go, H, and it's like, okay, Hulk Hogan, and then it's another H, and then like
Right.
MJF is unbeatable at that. But anyway, we won't go there. But yeah, through LDN, I got my big opportunity, and it was a learning curve. And from there, it was just, I wouldn't say I could cherry pick. But again, I listened to a lot of advice, even though my experience was like my learning curve was steep. I got a lot of experience, but again, I kept people around me that I trusted. Andy Simmons, Marty Skull back in the day who I was driving for, Flatliner, the bearded wonder. Oh my God. Mike from the Pitbulls and Dave, Stu Allen was another big one. Any questions, queries, comments, or any discussions, I would literally bounce it off of that tight, very experienced, very trustworthy guys. And they would either say, yeah, that looks like a steaming pile of mess, or yeah, that's good, run with it.
So you've done the training then, these opportunities are coming up now. What was a life like as a wrestler? Because obviously now you're doing it, you've got a date sheet, you're on the road, you've got all these shows. Is it what you thought it was going to be, or were there some shocks along the way? Because living in a
Yeah,
car can be, I mean, the car journeys have their moments. From
it
I remember many plastic triangle sandwiches and things.
for me, it was good and beneficial to hang around with the old school guys because I had the old school education of the ribs, the jokes, the sense of humor. The biggest shock for me that I was still doing a full-time job, still working the doors and wrestling, sometimes full-time. Like sleep was not non-existent sometimes. Like I used to live on 2 hours sleep and work all three jobs over the space of 24 hours. Car journeys, absolutely. If you've got the right group of guys in a car journey can be absolutely amazing and you want to just keep on driving. The wrong type of guys, I want to stab my eyes out. I had earbuds or earphones that I really didn't use, but there was one or two times where I just wanted to stab my ears out. It was good. The wrestling camaraderie in the dressing room, the show, everything about it, I absolutely loved. It was a good education for me to learn the business as I went, and that was a big thing for me is learning the business, asking questions that a lot of other people don't ask, but also caring about the paying customer instead of wanting to do all of the moves and doing a super indie match. It was like, well, what crowd have we got in? Okay, cool. Well, we'll do this match. And it was a really good education for me. I loved the wrestling business. I absolutely loved the car journeys. I liked hanging around with the boys. But in the same breath, it was a nightmare when you had the wrong dressing room or the wrong car journey. Like minutes were hours, hours were days. I'd share some dressing rooms where I'm sat there and two guys are going, yeah, well, we'll do a jump start. We'll take a chair shot. I'll throw you into the crowd. I'll do a moonsault off the top rope. And then we'll go fight backstage out in the. And I'm like, you're on first. You know this, right? What are you doing? And it's just people like that. Just and the guys that, and again, I don't have a problem talking about wrestling or Raw or Japan or what happened, but I'm there to have a laugh. I'm there to entertain. I'm under no illusion that I'm going to be a WrestleMania star. Listen, I'm ready for it. If anyone gives me a call up, let's go. But I'm doing this to learn my craft and have a laugh. Some people are under the illusion that they are going to be the next CM Punk when they look 15 and they don't lift weights and they can't wrestle. And listening to
Got
people
kick
like that
pads.
in the dressing room are horrifically boring.
Yeah, I remember that. Suddenly everyone had kick pads. I remember that. It's like overnight one day, it just suddenly went to a show, and I was like,
It's
"Am I the
it's
only person that hasn't got kick pads?" It was just
it's
like,
for me, it's the leg slaps. The leg slaps just absolutely do my brain in. When I work, I put a snug shot in, or a push, a kick, a punch, a headbutt. I slot the guy, and there's no need to go because you can hear the thud. I'm absolutely giving it one of my favorite spots. I would drag my opponent out into the crowd and I would slap them as hard as I could across the back or the chest, and it would echo. And I
Mm.
would shout, I would literally shout, "It's okay, it's fake. I'm missing him by miles. Look, watch." And I would sit him on someone's lap, or I would sit them next to people, and I would absolutely slap the heart out of their chest. And people would look at it and go, because they're used to seeing leg slaps and shots missed by miles. Nah, bro, I'm snugging you in. But that used to cause problems with itself because you used to get wrestlers that go, and I won't mention his name, but he works for one of the local promotions around here. He used to say to me, "Crusher, I would love to wrestle you, but I'm terrified to wrestle you," because people just used to look at me as I would beat the snot out of you. I'm not beating you up. I wrestle snug. And if you want to give it back, then the match is just so much better for it. We'll have a
Yeah.
solid match and people will remember it instead of, "Ugh, and I've missed you by miles." People see it. The crowd aren't stupid, so don't treat them stupid.
No, definitely. It is something that I remember seeing something recently. I think it was on the number two promotion, and it was blatantly punches were not connecting, and shots were definitely 100%. They were missing by a mile, but people were blaming that the cameraman had shot it from the wrong angle. And I was like,
No,
but
you
it's wrestling. You go no,
I
yeah,
I
exactly.
used to I used to get the cameraman up close so he could watch it. People used to say about Terry Funk's punches. How does Terry Funk have a good punch? He would punch you in the forehead, slot you, bang, have it. That's how he made it look good. He would punch you. You can punch, kick, hit people in the wrestling business and still make it safe. Like not Ian Regal, Steve Regal. He always says, "I hit you hard in safe places." That's what British wrestling should be about. It shouldn't be about pink and fluffy leg slaps and all of this business. I've got no time for that. Especially now I'm running a promotion. If I see you do that, it's gonna be bad for you. No one does it because they know what I'm about. Like no one ever does that. But yeah,
And it's
some
not even. I was gonna say for me as well. It's not the fact that even if they did it once, it's the fact that they then have to do it 15 times in a row as well. So it's like,
yeah.
well,
If
is your kick just like that shit then? Because you had to hit him 15 times for it to have an effect, you know?
if you are gonna hit someone or kick someone, hit them or kick them. Don't fanny around. If you make it look awful, you are doing a disservice to the 50, 100, 200, 300 people that have paid their hard earned money to come to see you and be entertained. And it is your duty as a wrestler to entertain the crowd, not pop the boys, not give yourself a little ego stroke, but entertain those people in the crowds. And if you can't punch someone without doing a leg slap, then you got no business doing it. Like I see so many people doing really good shots and still leg slapping because it's a force of habit. It's crazy.
That's it. And the old thing is, if you can't do it, don't do it. It's
Exactly.
just,
Like
yeah,
know
it's just
know
like yeah.
know your limitations. If you can't give a good shot, if you can't take a move, if you can't do this, if you can't do that, don't do it.
You mentioned just now about the fact that you're a promoter now. When did that come about? Is it something as you were wrestling, did you think about doing your own thing? How did that sort of come
I
along?
Yeah, when I was wrestling, I thought that I could genuinely go somewhere. Like I didn't advertise it. I didn't think I would go to WWE, but I definitely could have got a good shout at, TNA, Impact, any of those. I mean, Japan would have been really good for me, but I'm covered in these tats. I genuinely thought that I could have gone somewhere, so I was concentrating on that. But along the way, again with good promoters, good people that have been in the business, you learn the craft, you ask them questions. Like, I mean, you don't listen. Oh yeah, Brian Dixon, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because I'm going to be a promoter. He's going to tell you to do what he would have. R.I.P. Brian Dixon. He would have told you to go, and he would have told you in those words as well. He didn't mince his words. But yeah, like it's just picking up certain things. Like doing that many shows, you notice different things. Like they're doing this, they're doing that. Backstage production, get in the ring to and from there. What kind of ring are they using? What venues are they using? Sound systems, advertising. Are they more fake? It was literally just learning it. And then it got to a point where I was starting to get really animated and upset, and I would voice my opinions on social media, which a lot of people didn't like because they were telling me that, oh, that's a bit harsh, but I knew that they were thinking the same, but they wanted to be the other side of the card because they still wanted to get booked by these rotten promotions or with these rotten wrestlers, and they were going, "Oh yeah, no, that's a bit harsh." I'm like, "No, I'm saying how it is. Like I'm not holding my tongue. I'm not scared of anyone. I don't care about not getting booked. This is how it is." And then I think I toyed with maybe putting on a show, but I was like, I can't be bothered. Like I don't want to. I don't see the reason why. And then a couple of wrestlers called me out on it and said, "Well, listen, if you think you can do better, why don't you do better?" And so I did. And I don't know if I wanted to just do one show as a big stick. Yeah, look at that. But it was I just literally I would talk with some really close mates in and out of the wrestling business, one of them being Flatliner, who was instrumental and is still a massive, massive part of Big Powerhouse Wrestling. And yeah, I talked it through him a little bit, and it was like, "Do you know what? Let's do it. Let's put on a show, show everyone how it's done." And then it was like, well, we put on one show, I'm going to put on another show. And then that was successful. And then the following one was successful. And then that one was successful. And it was putting on good shows, but you putting my, you know, putting my money where my mouth is. I'm not using crap, skinny wrestlers that don't know how to wrestle. I'm not using wrestlers that haven't got a clue or dangerous. I'm not. It's just. I wanted to practice what I preached, and that's why I did it. I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, and I also wanted to elevate the wrestling world around me. And through my shows being better, using better wrestlers and better production than some, oddly enough, I've noticed that they've pulled their socks up and they're using better productions, starting to use better wrestlers. I mean, they're still lagging behind, but it's elevating yourself and the area around you. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to do. Like
The
I
rising
didn't,
tide and all that, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to be Vince McMahon. I didn't want to be Eric Bischoff. I wanted British wrestling to be better, and it should be better. We shouldn't be using rotten, skinny wrestlers that are the drizzling shits, pardon my French, that have no business being anywhere near a wrestling ring, or the king of the tin pot wrestlers who refuse to learn or refuse to listen or are dangerous, and the other wrestling promotions that are absolutely rotten that are ran by a promoter who wrestles and is a champion of his own promotion and uses his mates for an ego stroke, wrestling in front of 40 people. Like, I wanted to put on shows better than these people because the paying customer and British wrestling deserves better.
Mhm. But what would you say then? Like, you're talking about like your promotion, Big Powerhouse Wrestling. What does that do then compared to, say, some of the other promotions out there? What are you delivering? If someone's coming along to your show, what can they expect? Because obviously
I'm,
nowadays there's
yeah,
all flyers and posters for all sorts. If I'm
yeah.
seeing that one, why are you different to
Dude,
some of the
it's
others? I won't name any.
it's even before the show. I'm doing everything above board legally and professionally. It's run from a legal business, not a backyard wrestling promotion. So straight away, I've got public liability insurance. It's under a limited company. Everything is legit, above board. Then when I'm doing a show, I'm getting my posters designed. I'm not just throwing it together on Windows, whatever it is, or Paint,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and they look rotten. I want my posters to look professional, to look better than everyone else. The amount of posters that I see are just absolutely rotten and don't have wrestling anywhere on the poster. It's like you've got a poster of skinny looking children that doesn't say wrestling. Why on earth are you doing that? Whereas my posters have wrestlers on and it's got wrestling written on it. I'm doing like I say, I'm not doing this because I think I'm better. I know I'm better, but I'm not doing it because I think I'm better. I'm doing it to elevate the standard for British wrestling. Everything's legal, everything is above board. I'm getting in touch with all of the local councils to make sure that I can run a show. I'm doing it in a venue which is above board. There's nothing untoward. The posters are designed and corrected. I'm going around, I'm not fly postering. I'm going into local businesses. I'm making contact. I'm learning every shop, every person. Hey, how you doing? You all right? Well, I came to your show the other day. It was great. That type of thing. Whereas some promoters just go around and just glitter the town with posters. And then it's obviously using the guys on the show. I'm from the golden era. I'm from the attitude era. It's called Big Powerhouse Wrestling. The clue is in the name. The guys that I use fill that title. They look like wrestlers. So I'm giving the paying customer exactly what they deserve, not what they should get, what they deserve. Listen, if I'm paying £5, £10 for a meal and it's not good, I'm going to send it back. I want to give the paying customer exactly what they deserve. And that's what it says on the tin. British wrestling. And it's just BPW, I believe, excels in what it does. It shows you big powerhouse wrestling. You must look like a wrestler. And if you don't look like a wrestler, I'm going to tell you to go down the gym. Like a lot of people blow up my inbox, and the amount of people that don't go to the gym or look like that is awful. And the first thing I say to these people is, look, I'll bear you in mind. If I've got shows coming up and I need you, I'll shout you, but get down the gym. Get down the gym for 3 and 6 months. Show me, send me a picture once you put 1, 2, 3 kilos on. And some wrestlers have asked me for advice and they're like, listen, I appreciate that I've been helping out on your show. What have I got to do to get on the show? And it's like, dude, spend 3 months down the gym eating every bit of red meat you can and you'll look great. Got to look like a wrestler because there are too many companies nowadays that, well, they've got a school photo on the poster and it looks absolutely rotten. Big Powerhouse Wrestling does what it says on the tin. I will not use cheap and free wrestlers just because they're offering to work for free or a tenner just so they can get on the show, but they look absolutely rotten. It's not happening with me. The buck stops with me. I listened to a couple of people in the first few shows and I learned that the responsibility of Big Powerhouse Wrestling is on my shoulders. It's my name on the company, on the insurance, on the lease. Like I am to blame if I use rotten wrestlers or if a poster looks crap, or I've chosen the wrong venue, or it hasn't sold the way it should be. It's on me, not anybody else. People that come to Big Powerhouse Wrestling can expect just that. It's pride in what you're doing. Pride. Take pride in your product. Whereas some people that I won't name, they have really average promotions and they do it just because they can use cheap wrestlers, buy a new car, or go on holiday. And that's not me. I'd rather pay really good wrestlers, really good production, really good venues, and put on a really good show and make a couple of quid that I can reinvest into the business and make it better next time.
Excellent. you can chime in on this actually because I was talking to with someone about this the other day because they were saying about British wrestling and I was saying about pretty much what you just said about the wrestlers looking the part, being the part, having the right gear as well, stuff like that, not just like tracksuit bottoms and trainers or kick pads. But my they were saying like years ago we had smaller guys, we had weight British wrestling had weight divisions. Right? I said yeah, but the difference was they still looked like a wrestler. There wasn't just because they were 8 stone and someone else was 22 stone. But if you looked at them, they still had something about
Yeah.
Rey
If
Mysterio is what 5 foot tall or whatever he is, but he looks the part. Whereas
he
some of
looks
these
like a
other
bodybuilder,
guys,
he still goes down the gym. There is no excuse for anyone to say, oh, well, I do push ups and sit ups. Gyms are 24 hours a day, gyms are 20 quid a month. There is no reason why you shouldn't go down the gym. There are certain guys that are absolutely micro wrestlers and they are amazing. God rest his soul, Curtis Chapman. Curtis Chapman, the Kurt, he was skinnier than skinny. It's genetics. He couldn't change it. So he played up to that. He was an absolutely obnoxious little shit. He was a skinny wrestler. He embraced it. If you've got that attitude, if you've got that mindset, if you are Ricochet or Will Ospreay, who still train, who still lift weights, I might add, and that's your thing, then cool, no problems. I'm not going to put you on a big powerhouse wrestling show if you look like a 12-year-old. I did a show around my way a few years ago, and I know this lady that went to the show and she had a 12-year-old daughter. And the first thing they said to me afterwards was, oh, that tag team that they used wasn't very scary, were they? That's a 12-year-old girl not being scared of a wrestler. You're a heel. If I lean over people or I scream and shout at people, they cry. Like, that's your job. If you can't get that reaction of being a big, scary heel, then change it. Do something different. Be obnoxious. But people just don't get it. And that's a big thing with British wrestling today is a lot of people want to be CM Punk or oh I wear a t-shirt because Kevin Owens does. You're not Kevin Owens. You're not CM Punk. You can't rinse and repeat that. You don't have the experience. You don't have the look. You don't have the attitude. Go to a and again I'll harp on about it until I'm blue in the face. A proper wrestling school, the trainers there, listen to your trainers. They will look at you and go, do you know what? And they did it with me. You are a big, scary guy. I just want you to go in there and splatter someone. So that's what I did. I didn't go in there and go, I want to be the next Keith Lee and do all of that. I can do all of that, but I didn't want to. People just like I used to hear trainees all the time going, "Oh, well, I'm going to be the next Stan Hansen, or I'm going to be the next Goldberg." You are skinny. Just wrestle. Like, get better at wrestling. Oh, yeah, but and they'd argue with the trainees. It's like you're paying them to train you. That's a tenner. That's 20 quid. That's 15 quid, however much it is. You're paying them to teach you to wrestle, and you're not listening. What is wrong with you? And British wrestling, half and half of that. Half of the promotions in this country are absolutely amazing. Shout out to Rev Pro, shout out to EW, shout out to a few of them who are absolutely amazing, still going strong, still doing it. But then you get the little, I don't want to even call them promotions. They're a group of friends that get together because they can't get booked anywhere else and they want to wrestle in front of 40 people. It suffers greatly from that. And these people, again, really good experienced wrestlers that get paid a fortune to go and wrestle on their show, and there's only one good person on the show, those guys need to take a look at themselves and go, well, it might benefit me more not to do this show. So they then in turn hire better wrestlers instead of just one kind of thing.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, what are your future aims now? Then, because obviously you've established Big Powerhouse Wrestling. You're promoting it now. You've you're not. Are you totally retired from the ring, or is there a chance of doing a bit more still?
I was having this chat with a couple of the guys on the last show I was at. Do you know what? I can still do it, but I want to oversee Big Powerhouse Wrestling in more of a managerial promoter role. I do the MCing as well because I've got a big mouth and I know what I'm doing. I want to be out front. I want to be the face. I want to ensure people that it's my show. You're going to get exactly what you paid for. I can still wrestle, and if the opportunity comes up, I'll dust the boots off. They're upstairs in the cupboard. I've still got plenty of bumps. I've still got a lot of go in me. I always say to people, oh God, I wish there was another Crusher so I could have him on my show. It's a unique thing. I can still do it. I don't want to do it for other promotions, unless it's for the right reason. I could do it for Big Powerhouse Wrestling, but that would mean that I'm not the MC, that I'm not out front overseeing
Yeah.
things. I did that on my very first show. I was out back. The show was good, but it didn't run as smooth as I wanted. So then I took a more front forward role, forward facing role, and I've got it where I like it now that it's running smoothly. I still learn from every show, but yeah, I can wrestle on my show. I don't want to be one of those promoters that puts the belt on himself 257 times because it's my promotion and I can fly over some ex WWE guy and wrestle him myself. Like, why would I want to do that? I want to use the best wrestlers for the job. And again, that's something that's missing from the British industry is using the right pegs for the right holes. There's a rant for you. I went off track. But yeah, I can still go. I can still wrestle. I'm still better than most.
Excellent. And what are your future goals then? Because as you say, you've established Big Powerhouse Wrestling. You're putting shows on around mainly the sort of South Coast region, I would
Yeah.
say. I think for the ones I've seen anyway. And what's next? Moving in into the future. Have you got any aims? Have you got any goals? Is there like a bucket list you're sort of going through?
Slow, slow and steady wins the race. Every year I write out achievable business goals because this isn't a plaything for me anymore. This is a business. If I'm not making money, I'm not going to do it. And again, a lot of promotions lose their arse on shows and they have to subsidize their day earnings to run that. I'm not doing that. It's a business. Slow and steady wins the race. I don't want to sacrifice production. I don't want to sacrifice the wrestlers. I have a couple of business goals in mind. It's next year I will be spreading out or try and spread out a little bit. Some wrestling companies want to take 1 million towns, 1 million venues. Not me. I'm cherry picking as I go. I'm in no rush. I want to pick up two, three, maybe five new venues next year, still within driving distance, still not. I don't want to say locals. I want a city or I want busy towns that are still on the south coasts. And then I want to focus on those shows as well without losing focus on the shows that I have, because every show that I have gets 110% of my attention, not someone else's, my attention. So yeah, my goals going forward, slow and steady wins the race without sacrificing pride in the production that I'm putting forward. I think there's 55 cities in England, in the UK, in the UK, 55. I've got to be honest, there's no reason why I can't have a wrestling show in each of those cities in 5 years, in 10 years. That would be a long-term goal, is to be in every major city. I don't know about London because it's a bit crazy that way, but yeah, for me, and again, it's a business plan. I looked on a map. I counted the towns, the cities, the areas. I'm not just throwing crap at a wall trying to make it stick. There's no reason why I shouldn't have Big Powerhouse Wrestling in every city or most cities within the next 5, 10 years. But I'm doing it slow. I'm doing it steady. I don't want to run before I can walk because at the end of the day, it's just me. I've got a couple of people that I fall back on that help out, but it's just me. And I want to keep the same pride, the same production, the same performance levels. I don't want to just make a quick couple of quid and start sacrificing and using crap wrestlers. I could drown towns and cities now with loads of shows and use rubbish wrestlers, but I'm not willing to do that. It's all about a business sense, but giving British wrestling the love and respect that it deserves. So next year, I want to be doing a couple more shows in a couple of towns. Southampton is a big one. It's my new hometown. There's a couple of other places that I'm looking at. Three or four venues next year. Then the year after that, we'll add a couple more. Then who knows what extra stuff. It's just watch this space. I'm not saying I'm going to be Vince McMahon. I'm not saying I'm going to be what Rev Pro is or Progress or any of those guys. I don't compete with anybody. I compete with my last show. I compete with my last performance. It's nice to take a look around about what everyone else is doing, but I don't ever judge my shows against anybody else's because I can just see it from a mile. I literally judge my shows to my standards. Like I don't want to lose sight of that moving forward. So yeah, more shows, more more professionalism, better wrestlers. Like I'm using the best wrestlers in the country at the minute, but that's in this country. I might have to start getting in some other talent, but again, I want to focus on the best of this country first.
Excellent, excellent. And so, if anyone is watching this or listening to this, and they are a wrestler or they want to get in touch here, what is the best way to get hold of you?
It's Big Powerhouse Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter. I do threads now. Again, Big Powerhouse Wrestling on there. I've got a TikTok, Big Powerhouse Wrestling on there. Get in contact with me on any of those, but take a good look at what you can bring to the show first. Don't just give me a generic, oh, yeah, I'd love to work your show. Sell yourself. I always used to tell promoters, I'm going to bring you 5 to 10 punters minimum because I've got an okay following, because I look like this. Big Powerhouse Wrestling on all the socials. And if you're a wrestler and you want to get in touch, I've got no problem talking to everyone. You can drown my inbox if you like. I'm not going to answer it at 2 a.m. in the morning, but don't just send me a generic, oh, hello, sir. Or I hate the ones that go, hi, and then in brackets, they forgot to delete it and it says promotion. I
Hi, promoter.
yeah, I've got a fair few of those. Listen, and I hate being called boss or sir. Listen, that'll get you some good stuff, but when I'm on a show, it's crusher, not sir. Don't call me sir, otherwise I'm gonna wedgie you in front of everyone. Give me a
I'll
good
remember that.
message. Yeah, give me a good message. Give me a, and this is what I used to do. Hey, listen, my name's Crusher Curtis. I've seen you a couple of times. The other wrestlers, and I'll name the wrestlers that are on your show, said that I should shoot you a message. I'd love to come and wrestle for you at any point, but I'll be down to watch this show at some point just to touch base with you and say hi. The amount of wrestlers that I've told, listen, come to this show, let me take a look at you. Bring your gear, but I'm not guaranteed I'm using you because cards are already full. And they say, yeah, yeah, sure. And then a month before the show or a couple of weeks before the show, oh, yeah, I won't be down now for whatever reason, insert reason here. And I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem. But that shows keenness. If you're going to come to a show, handshake, help out, stuff like that. Think about what you're messaging. Offer something
Definitely,
different.
definitely.
Tell me a
And
joke. Make
if
me eat your
anyone
stuff.
if anyone wants to check out Big Powerhouse Wrestling as well, I'll link in the Instagram, and you got a YouTube as well, so didn't you? That's
YouTube
it.
as well.
And
We drip feed matches on there, but at some stage, again, I'm making an effort to film every show. I think I've maybe not filmed 2 shows, but I want to film every show so we have a back catalogue so I can then have some again. a couple of years in the future, some pay on demand if people want to watch it. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And is there any other bits, anything upcoming you would like to plug or advertise or let us know about?
Just a massive shout out to everyone that's offered their two pence worth when it's been needed, like Flatliner, the Dominator Stu Allen, the Pitbulls, Big Bulk and Big Dave, uh, Andy Simmons, who I still talk to now, Andy Quilden. Again, I talk to Andy Quilden every now and then because we try not to book the same stuff. Like it's just these guys have been instrumental in getting me to where I am. So a massive, great big shout out to all of my pals, all of the wrestlers that consistently have been there for me over the years, who I'm repaying with work now. Lucian Phillips, Jake McCluskey, people like that who I started off wrestling with, who I've been friends with, who I'm now using. But I want to give a big shout out to all of my haters throughout the years who tried to blackball me, who did blackball me, who used to slag me off, to some of the old school guys that don't get my sense of humor, who take me too seriously, that want to call me a tin pot. Uh, Even though I've been all over the world wrestling and I've probably wrestled more than them, or some of the local promotions that have said, well, yeah, maybe don't wrestle for him. Listen, haters are fans, and there is a lot more coming for you guys. So a big shout out to everyone that has supported me and still supporting me to this day, especially that bearded wonder Flatliner who doesn't get enough love for what he does. But a massive shout out for everyone that is hated me in this wrestling business and who has had my name in their mouth when they shouldn't have. You guys, you started something by saying do better. You guys ain't seen nothing yet.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time today to join us. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, sir.
And everyone
Crusher,
give
crusher.
give
Not sir.
you guys a like as well. Make sure you guys put this on and I'll repost it on all my socials.
Thank you once again to Crusher Curtis for joining us this week. This has been the Grapple Rye Show, and I have been your host, Brett Summers. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with everyone you know, everyone at your gyms, everyone at your clubs, everyone at your shows, because sharing is caring, and that really does help us spread our gospel of grappling. If you'd like to follow us, we're on Instagram, on Facebook, and most of the other social medias. Our mothership is the grappleride.com, where you can see everything we're up to and all of our podcast episodes that are now in existence. If you'd like to watch our shows, a new episode drops every Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time on YouTube. And if you'd like to listen, it drops the same time on all the normal podcast apps, including Spotify, Audacity, Apple Podcasts, and all the others that are out there, like Podcatcher and all the rest. So please give us a like and a follow, maybe write a review. Those things really do help us and helps us claw our way out of the ravine of podcasts that are vying for your attention. So, as I say, it's the end of this week's episode now. We'll be back next week with another guest. Stay safe and stay on the mats.
I tend to tell people from an amateur wrestler to a professional wrestler to a cage fighter to being the alpha male of senior citizens now.
I would definitely recommend BJJ. I say quite frequently, I think it's really helped Clay. It's given him some structure, it's given him discipline, and also, but probably the most important thing, it's given him a routine. I mean, with the training, he knows where we're going to be, what day. He goes into the same gym or the same gyms now, because he trains at different gyms, and it's helped him. It's built relationships with his peers. He's got great friends. He's got some great role models in the gyms that he trains at, with not only the coaches but all the adults that are there. And it's just a great environment. It took me by surprise. It wasn't what I expected when we first walked into a gym.
And it's interesting in that there are a number of tournaments that are promised and organized with the Future Federation. And in one of them, there's a clause there will be tournaments with strikes involved, but they will be held under different regulation. And I saw that, and I completely missed that the first time I read that document, right? I'm going, holy cow. I think that our forefathers, our founding fathers, they had the wisdom to see that a competition rule was going to drift away from the reality of combat, and that a rule set with strike was necessary in order to maintain that foot in reality.
When I qualified for the Olympic Games and being the first female in wrestling for New Zealand, I think that really took the cake. I think that was the best feeling ever, and I think about it often still, and it still makes me feel really good.